so I learned a lot about this stuff, but I've also been training for 15 years as not an athlete per se, but just for fun. I've learned a lot over the years. I was in Marine Corps as well. So first, what I want to do is just kind of ask what people think food is.
Energy.
Energy. That's like the perfect answer. So that's all I have for today.
Yes.
So yeah, food can be awesome. It can taste good. It can feel good. But like he said, it's energy. At the end of the day, we have a lot more things that are processed nowadays where they can be made to taste amazing. Like a thing of Pringles can be gone in no time at all. So, like he said, energy. We have several macro or big nutrients: protein, carb, and fat. Does anybody know kind of what protein is? Oatmeal has some protein. So protein as a building block is, if you're building a house, it's the materials that are used to make the house. So if you have a lot of workers, but you have no wood, then you don't have a house. So protein is gonna be your building blocks for the house. And carbs is like, does anybody know the carb? Like what is a carb? So we have like cereal, oatmeal, like you said, bread, rice, some vegetables, starches, potato, pasta, another good one. So those are going to be what gives you energy for your body and also your brain. So if your teacher ever said you need to eat a good breakfast before a test, that's because your brain runs on carbs as well. So we got our building blocks, we have our energy to get ready for the workout, which y'all are about to go do, and then also to refuel after. So you can have some before, have some after, have a good workout. And then fats are kind of not as important, and they're trace in just about everything we eat on a daily basis. They're
Avocado?
sorry?
Avocado?
Avocado, that is a good fat. We have a lot of fats already. So I'm not gonna talk too much about fat because you're likely getting enough of it. It's from somewhere. We all are. It's hard to avoid. So, does anybody have a good example of a meal that would be good for like before? Maybe a big swim or?
Pasta?
Yes, that's a very good one. So carbs, like I said, is the fuel for getting ready to do something big, and then after, our muscles have that glycogen or carbs in them. We swim, and then it's all gone. So after, we gotta put it back in. So pasta's a good one. Really anything that's not gonna sit in your stomach. I know we get those stomach cramps when we eat too much before we swim, right? That's because there's a lot of blood trying to go into your tummy to make everything squish. Yeah, squish. So we have protein, fat, carbs. Does anybody think there's like good and bad foods? There's no right answer. Both answers are actually correct. There's not, it's more of like a spectrum, is how I like to think of it. So you have super good, like textbook, veggies and meat and all that. And then you have like more refined foods that like candy bar, cake, right? So I think the biggest takeaway is that you don't think that there's an evil food out there that's gonna hurt you or something, you know?
Except for like poisonous foods.
Yeah, we want to stay away from poisonous foods. I don't typically eat those. So no food is just terrible for you. It's like, you know, there's a birthday party, you're gonna have, depending on what your mom or dad says, you're probably gonna have a slice. It's just about making 80% good choices, and then that leaves you room to make some,
Bad.
yeah, you said it.
I said.
You said it. The other thing is water. So I think we all know water is very important if we're going to be doing activity. So I think the best way to hydrate is to always be hydrated. Almost all health markers improve when you're hydrated all the time, instead of thinking about, oh man, I gotta swim, let me drink all this water really quick. So I think 5 to 8 glasses a day is good. Does anybody have a number that they can think of that they're at? Less than 5 to 8? Maybe? 4? Okay, that's right there. That's right there. That's good. So our body is very smart when it comes to hydration. So unless we're doing something insane like walking outside on a hot day in Corpus, our body's gonna tell us that it needs water by making us thirsty. So when we're thirsty, our body's like, okay, come on, we need some water here. But yeah, I would drink a good amount of water before something like this. Or has anybody ever had like a headache after a workout? Or yeah, okay, so drinking water before you work out and then a little bit during can help that. Or something like a Gatorade as well has sodium or salt in it to increase the water you retain in your body. So hydration is also a part food. So I know it's all water, but the amount of water that your body holds on to is dependent upon what you're eating. So if you don't eat, you are also not going to be hydrated. I'll open it up for a few questions before I get to the last portion.
I know there's a lot of kids that I come across that are like, obviously they're young and they're growing and they're training. And I've heard them talking about counting calories. Nothing that I'm overly, nothing that I encourage because they're growing. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was going to be part of the last portion of what I was talking
Okay.
about, but I'll get into a little bit right now. Number one, as youth, and number two, as athletes, counting is not, like you said, I don't recommend it. If you're making good choices, I don't count. So if you're making good choices, not a good choice. So if you're making good choices, the numbers will work themselves out, and there's not really a good way to base the number you're trying to go for anyway. So I would say counting is not great. I would say look at your label and see if do I need more protein, carbs, and then usually stay away from something that's higher fat. And then, you know, eat until you are no longer hungry. So get it to where you have your plate, and that's kind of your plate every meal. The same portions, the same size. You know when you're gonna be like, okay, I'm not hungry anymore. And that's the way I like to break down count. It's not, okay, I need 1,700, blah, blah, blah. Just make good choices, and then that also feeds into, people talk about your relationship with food. We shouldn't think food is like somebody off the street that I can have a relationship with. It's food. It's not there to hurt you. It's there for your energy, and we can make bad decisions or we can make good decisions.
Can you give an example of a day of eating? What would be healthy, balanced breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Not portions per se, but just.
So, for athletes in particular, you tend to want protein to be a little higher because you're doing stuff that your muscles are building, so they need that protein. So breakfast, I hate eggs, but you know, people like eggs. Eggs is a fantastic choice. I'm not gonna go in order from the day to start. So the carbs put around whenever you're gonna do some kind of activity. For you guys, you're swimming late. I don't know if you also swim early, but just kind of pepper those in around when you're working out. So protein, other protein sources are gonna be meat. So many meats. That's like all I eat. So 3 to 4 meals a day with a snack, and each of those meals has a protein. Not necessarily all of them would have a carb. Oatmeal is fantastic early, so breakfast could be eggs and oatmeal because it's more slow digesting, keeps you kind of full throughout the day. Getting your vegetables in. I know vegetables stink. Does anybody have a favorite vegetable?
Fresh green.
Carrots.
Broccoli, that's mine. People are always like, everybody has a favorite vegetable, man. This is
I like carrots.
Yours?
I like potatoes and corn.
okay.
Corn.
Vegetables, more vegetables.
Yeah, that's green beans.
Green beans. Like crispy, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's good. I don't have to convince you to eat vegetables. That's really good. So yeah, like I said, each meal you want at least a little bit of protein with the meat. They have a lot of different bars that are really yummy. They're yummy, but they have protein because it's not always easy to, you know, have a hot dog in your pocket or whatever. And then the fats, like I said, they're in everything. Like whatever meat you're eating, you're already getting that fat. And then the 80%, 20%, like I was saying, is you have most of your decisions are good, and then sometime during the day you have something that's not like super duper healthy, you know? Like a bowl of cereal is not always the best choice, but well, like Lucky Charms and Reese's Puffs. No, cereal's not a bad choice. It's just sometimes there's better.
Guys.
On the heels of what you're talking about, I think we all have a sweet tooth.
I eat cereal too.
Do you have any suggestions in helping maybe moderate that that would help if someone's saying tends to binge a little bit too much?
So the first way to not overeat is to have something that is more filling before. So calorie density is kind of a big word, but it just means how much energy is in this much food. If you're talking about a candy bar, there's a lot of energy in this little bite. But if we're talking about broccoli, there's not a whole lot of calories there. So if you eat a bowl of broccoli, the odds after that you're gonna want to eat that candy bar is pretty slim. So that's the first thing is try to fill up on your good stuff. That's why your mom always told you to save dessert for last, because once you're full, you're not gonna be so hungry to eat all that. The second thing is to try and limit the access to those items. I know I said Pringles earlier. Pringles, yes. If I have a can of Pringles, there's no way I'm not eating all of them. So, unless I have somebody to share with. But, yes.
My favorite food is sushi, steak, and teriyaki.
Okay.
Teriyaki. I like sushi.
Those are all three
So.
really.
Good sushi. I like Chinese. Oh. I like sushi. I like sushi, steak.
Okay, guys, let's let him wrap it up.
So yeah, filling up your stomach with good food before, and also trying not to have a bunch of junk lying around. If it's there, your brain's gonna be like, ooh, let me just, like you walk through the kitchen and there's a whole cake or something. Just trying to limit. I know somebody, there was a cake and she just went after it with a spoon and it looked like an animal attacked it. Yes.
Do you have any thoughts, or do you have any quote cheat days?
That goes hand in hand with my roughly 80-20. So some people, their brain works better on, working hard all week to do that Saturday, whereas some people would rather have it daily. You have that one time per day where like, oh, I get my little scoop or whatever of ice cream. Or some people like, oh, wait, I'm waiting for Sunday when I can go out and do all that. That's how I feel. And also, if you're doing the one day thing, you just have to be careful with how much that is. Because I don't know if you've seen The Rock, he does whatever, 10,000, whatever. So, if you're really trying, you can really get up there. That's the only downside of doing it in one day. But as long as you're cognizant. Yes.
I'm like, with my, in addition to what we're saying, I read in one book about nutrition that you do get, and I know that for kids it's very difficult, but if you get to this mindset that food is not entertainment and not filling out your available time because I don't have something to do, then it helps a lot. It helps me. And we're just growing in this society. Oh, birthday party, eat. Friends and family in town.
Every
Just
occasion.
eat.
Yeah.
And so when you switch this mentality, like for older kids, it helps to stop. Like, do I really want to eat, or I'm just bored? And it
Yeah.
clicks and it helps.
Yeah. That's why the first question I asked was like, oh, what is food to you guys? And you pointed out very intelligently that it's energy. So at the end of the day, like, when I look at this food, do I need this energy, or am I just like, well, I guess I could eat that and it'll make me feel good or whatever. So that's good. Just ask yourself, am I hungry or bored? Yeah, so the last thing was about the I know that one. Myra, you sounded low. So the last thing is kind of like
Settle down, guys.
your relationship with food, kind of going back to that last point of some people just get in the mindset that their body's not perfect and they need to do this and that and they're counting calories and thinking they're a bad person or something, but nobody's a bad person about food. You're just making decisions and they can either be better or not. And there's always a turning around point, wherever you are in your day or your week or your month or 10 years, 30 years. You can always decide to make the better choice. There's no too late. So that's another thing with making bad decisions is sometimes once you make a bad decision, you think, oh, let me just make another one because I feel bad already. But it's never too late to turn it around. And is everybody proud of like what they are doing here with their body? Does anybody have feelings on that? You guys are, I'm sure, very fit, as I'll see later on. Yes.
Have you always been in really good shape? And if not, what was sort of the turning point, or what did you do?
I was active throughout my youth, not competitively, and then I got kind of lazy and soft.
Chunky.
And then I just kind of discovered working out, and I think that the process of putting something in and getting something out is really cool. Like there's not a lot of things in life that we can do something and get something out that's so easy to see in the mirror every day. So yeah, I started working out and learning about food and trying different things. And, your body is what you're gonna be in for the rest of your life. So I think you guys are in a good spot. You're doing stuff while you're young. There's a lot of people that aren't. So that's really cool. Yes. All the
No. If you had a tip of just one thing for these kids to walk away with, I know it's a tough question. Is there one thing that you could enforce?
I'll do two.
Okay.
Since it's,
You got to remember two.
two. So this applies to two different kinds of people. So one type of person is going to think more about how do I look, and am I going to be afraid of food? So to that person, I'm saying, you're perfect the way you are, and you're being active. So just make the best decisions that you can. To the other person that is more results driven, let's say that. Try to think about your workouts and how often are they swimming during the week?
Anywhere from 4 to 7 times a week.
Okay, so for 2 of those workouts, I would like y'all to make a decision on what you're gonna eat before. So just to figure out that process for yourself, to get you to start thinking, okay, I got this coming up, what's gonna make me feel good and ready to go do that? That's how it starts, is just, focus on, okay, what can I do in this little time to be that much better? Because that's like the athlete mindset of, if you guys want to be awesome and your best, it's like, how can I get that inch for the next workout? Yes.
If you're doing like a swimming and you're about to swim and you're hungry, what would you say a good snack is?
So
Good question.
the fuel for something difficult is going to depend on how far out it is. So if it's 8 in the morning and if it's 8 in the morning and my meet is at like noon, that choice is going to be something slower, like oatmeal or brown rice. But I think your question is more like, it's like already time, right? Okay, so there is going to be more quick digesting, like white. Usually white is a good color to go for there. White bread, white rice. Those bars are pretty good, fast digesting. They don't sit in your stomach a long time. They go like straight to your bloodstream and your muscles. So white bread. Some people do candy. That can be okay if you're not getting carried away with it. Yes.
You said anything white like marshmallows?
I don't wanna get attacked on the way out. Alright, marshmallows, candy, and as far as grains go, white rice, white pasta.
Sugar?
Sugar.
Salt?
Why salt? Why would we eat salt?
You don't
I tried that. Really? I tried that.
Anybody have any last questions?
I actually have 2 actually.
Okay.
So, first one is what do you think about the energy drink? Do you think the water is better than energy drink or
Why?
if you think that the Gatorade is good, what time do
There's
you
2 different.
recommend us to take it?
There's a couple different kinds of questions. Aspects of this, because there's Gatorade, which is one thing. Then there's those energy drinks that are full of caffeine and stuff. So just distinguish what your question is.
Let's just use Gatorade as the example.
Okay.
So what do you think of Gatorade? Or if you think it's good, then what time is the best time to take it? Before or in the middle or after? And the second one is I noticed that because I used to be the season ticket holder for Rockets. Houston Rockets. So I know those players after the game they were in some favorite restaurant to eat, right? So my question is, some athletes said, they recommend they're gonna take their food first bite like within 30 minutes or 1 hour after the game or something like that. So it's better for nutrition to absorb the nutrition. Something like that. So what do you think? Do we need to try to eat as soon as we can, or it doesn't really matter?
I'll answer those in reverse. So the nutrient timing, when we're talking about gaining those inches for an athlete of how much better can I be, nutrient timing is, small, but if you're trying to be the best, then it does matter. And refueling as close to that expenditure of energy, especially swimming, because it's largely muscular compared to some other forms of exercise are more cardio based, but swimming has a lot of muscular things. So replenishing the glycogen in the form of carbs, and then the protein to start that muscle growing process as quickly as possible. It's not always possible to, get home and okay, dinner's ready.
Yes.
But as close. You don't want to wait hours.
Yes.
The other question was about Gatorade. Gatorade is a fine choice for restoring your magnesium, sodium levels for being hydrated. The only problem with Gatorade stuff is when people drink it all day long, because the regular Gatorades might have 150 calories or something like that. So if you're drinking it as water all day long, that can be 600.
Yeah.
But they're excellent. They also make them with the 0 calorie options.
Yeah.
Depending on how you feel about artificial sweeteners. But yeah, I would say during, it's mostly a during exercise drink. You can make your own as well. That's what I do. They have those little Mio squeezy things, and then you just put salt in water, and you've got a cheap Gatorade.
Those water bottle Gatorade things are not cheap. They're expensive.
The little squeezies?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, HEB makes their brand, which
The little
is
squeezy.
cheaper. What else?
Swimmers, do you have any more questions? Just the swimmers. Okay, swimmers, head on off. If parents have any questions, since you guys are the ones who prepare the meals and would like to ask Joel, please stick around for a couple of minutes if you don't mind. And the rest of us will get on to Jeff. Can I get off then? Are you okay here? Send Nico in when he's ready. If you have any more questions.
Comfortable real quick. My back's been hurting.
Well, what we did.
Look at that back.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Look at his back.
Thank you for doing this.
I kind of messed up. I zoomed in on his arm. It's like,
No
his
questions
arm's
from
huge.
parents?
Just have one.
Okay, cool, Sean.
There's a lot of fake news in there. And she got some really
I
funny
just
stuff.
wanted to have your, what do you think,
And some
my.
I almost brought it up, but it's just hard to, some parents will
And I
feel,
know she asked.
oh my gosh, that's
I don't know how we did.
protein scary
The
stuff,
thing
right?
is, she might.
Can you, Joe, I'm asking you about the muscle milk, because he's been
I
asking.
can't, because that's not, I made a clue.
Like we bought him, like one and he loved it, the muscle milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have.
I think it's absolutely okay, as long as it's not you live on it,
Oh.
you know?
Like for usually, once during his meals, and he won't get hungry, he won't have
Yeah,
to eat.
they're absolutely,
That's not funny.
the kidney stuff that people get scared about with protein is when, people are really not
Okay.
fit. Like, they don't even eat, they just drink,
It's
I
gonna
don't
be
know if you remember
reviews.
the Slim Fast,
Yeah.
drinks.
Because I noticed that
They
when
wouldn't
she
eat
kept saying
meals, they would just,
Oh,
there was a lot of.
they would just drink.
But.
So, they're
Okay.
and I'm sure you're not gonna buy a million of them, right?
No, I just bought
Did
it
those
like
stand
any.
out?
Yeah, they're entirely safe.
Okay.
Yeah, I made a
Thank
group with the
you.
people
Thank
I
you so
knew,
much for
and I shared them